All right, so I'm in the middle of a Chevy dealer storage lot. We've got some EV Blazers down here, but what I want to show you is this massive, massive, massive line of all these trucks, and this is their overflow lot. Now, the dealership is not very big. They don't have a lot of space to actually put trucks on their lot, so we'll give them that. But still, look at this line of trucks that is behind me right here. What I want to go through is I want to go through and show you some of their models and really what the prices are. So we'll start with this one right here. It's just like one of your regular little, I say little, but it's a Silverado. It's not a Z71. And let's check out the prices here. So this is a 1500 crew, custom four-wheel drive, $53,000. And what GM just said on their earnings call is that their average transaction price that they're getting right now is right at 50 grand. And so if you look at a truck like this, when they say average, that's including their Chevy Trax, that's including these Blazers, that's including really everything that they're putting out. So when you look at this is going to be one of their cheapest trucks that they're going to be able to offer for the consumer. And another big problem that I see happening for a lot of these manufacturers are these things right here. This is an EV truck putting out there. It's a Silverado. Let's talk about the first big problem. This is an ugly truck. Look at that little scoop on the back. It's got El Camino vibes. I'm just gonna say it. So they had the Chevy Avalanche, which was a truck that was kind of popular. It was hit and miss with a lot of people. I didn't like that either. It was ugly, but there was a lot of people that loved them. So this is going to have the same kind of love-hate relationship. The problem is you're going to have that love-hate relationship with this body style right after the love-hate relationship that you're going to see with just the EV buyers in general. Some people love them, some people hate them. So you're going to have two tiers of love-hate to get through to actually sell this truck. But this is more of a basey kind of truck. Look at the wheels there. Look at the wheels on this one. Same thing. But this is going to be the up model. But we'll look at both of them. Oh, this one. There you go. There's the model. $68,000. And a lot of these trucks that I'm seeing have add-ons here at this dealership. There's about $4,000 worth of add-ons. So tack that onto it. It didn't have the sticker on that one for the add-ons. And actually we're on the other side of this one, but this one is the upper level trim. You noticed by the wheels. But here we go. $75,000. And one thing I just noticed is that this says fleet on it. So I was wondering why these trucks were just like kind of plain white. I know a lot of trucks are just white. I mean, that's a big problem with a lot of these manufacturers is everything's white, gray, black, and then every once in a while you'll get like this darker blue color. You've seen that in Ford too. It's uninspiring, unexciting, but you know what? That probably makes them more money by being able to have just a few levels of color that they're coming out with. So one thing I want to point out too, you might see it behind me just so you're not wondering if I don't see it yet. There's tons and tons of Ram fleet trucks behind me. So this dealership group is going to have a Chevy dealer, I'm not a Chevy dealer, but a Dodge dealer too. And this is probably where they store a lot of their fleets. Probably sold these a lot to the city. You look out there, tons and tons and tons of trucks. I've actually seen these before when I've been to this lots, and they're always filled up here. That's actually one place that a lot of these auto manufacturers are actually making money, and that's in fleets, and that's what's really saving a lot of them. But oh, this is like more of a bare bones model. This truck, let's guess. I'm hoping it's going to be like $45,000. And that's sad to say that like this is the cheap. When I look at this, I would say this is going to be the cheap truck, maybe the cheapest truck that you can find out here. Look at the wheels, basic Silverado, 1500, four-wheel drive, still $52,000. $52,000. That's crazy, and that's going to be your cheap. I mean, look at it. Let's look at it again. That's going to be your cheap version of the trucks that you see out here. Now, I do see Duramax. Let's look at it. Let's see which one. Actually, this one's only a two-door. Let's look at that first. No, there's your Duramax. Z71, you know what? We'll look at all three of them. So let's, this one's going to be the cheapest. Should be, because it's only got 2 doors. I got $52,000 on this one. This is a get-to-work truck. I don't know if you can see inside of it right there. It's got the little fold-down seat that I hate. So this one should be more. It looks like it should be more. It's a nice truck. I like the look of these. I like that gray color. $63,000 on this one, 2500 HD. Now this is the one that should be way more, I would think. Z71 Duramax, good looking truck though. Look at this. See, do some more colors, manufacturers. I know you're all watching this. Mary Barra, Jim Farley, and the guy from Stellantis that I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because I'm going to say it right and then everyone's going to say I'm saying it wrong. So this one, but this one's like $80,000. Yep. And look, you just got a whole line of those things back here. So let's keep walking down here. I want to get to the Suburbans that are on the other side. I know a lot of you are going to want to know the Tahoe prices, Suburban prices, and that's one thing we can talk about really quick. You know what? There's just more trucks down there while we're walking this other way. So what are you not seeing? You don't see sedans. You're not seeing a bunch of small SUVs. You know that Chevy, they've got the Trax, and guess what? Those have been selling like crazy. Why have they been selling like crazy? Because they're cheap. Say cheap, affordable. People can actually buy them. They can get into monthly payments that aren't $750 a month. Any of these trucks that you're looking at, most likely, because most people don't put a whole lot of money down when they're actually buying the vehicle, you're looking at over $1,000 monthly payment on a lot of these trucks. Big problem for this time that we're looking at in the economy. Inflation, still a thing. So one thing that I'm really curious about to see if it's going to happen is that, let's say if the market gets a little bit worse from here. Right now, we're already seeing that all these manufacturers, they've reported their earnings and stock market hated the outlook, everything about them, they all sold off. Stellantis, Ford pretty much crashed, and GM, they dumped like 10%, just like that. So, and GM had a good quarter, but the stock market really doesn't like what really these auto manufacturers are having to deal with right now. Here we go. There's and this is one of the big problems. You see in Ford, you've got the Mach-E's, you've got the Lightnings, and here you've got these EV Blazers, you've got the EV Silverados they're dealing with. There's one on the end there. I've already lost the other two. Oh, they're way down there. I walked longer than I thought. But we'll just pull up one of these prices right here, and I'm not going to be able to see it because it's leaning all the way across, but I'll show you what the price is. And this is a big problem because they're not making any money on any of these EVs. And Mary Barra on the earnings call even came out and said, look, we don't really want to put a ton of production right now in these EVs because we can make so much more money making these gas trucks. There's more margin in them. And there's even this, especially when you're looking at the F-150 Lightnings and these EV Silverados, what Ford just said is that the bigger the EV is, the less margin you have. And on gas vehicles, it's the exact opposite. So they need to make smaller EVs to be able to make money on them, make more money on them to make higher margin. It all comes down to the battery, right? You got something huge like this, you need a bigger battery, costs a lot more money. All right, we finally got to the Tahoes and I saw a Suburban. Yep, Suburban over there, okay. So let's check, this is one of the, I think the lower trims, and then you got the high country over there. So let's check out what an actual lower trim of a Tahoe cost. No, it's a Premier, it's not the lower trim, my fault. But still $87,000, $87,000, not the lowest trim. Let's see if one of these happens to be lower trim. That sticker is where I can't see it, of course, and watch this be the one I'm looking for. Yep, of course it is. Yep, and that's Premier. So I want to see this one right here. This is a sweet looking Tahoe. And I can't see the price, but maybe you can. Check it out. I would guess still probably $70,000, $75,000, and you know, and I don't at this point, so it could be a lot more expensive than that. And this one is a high country, so this one's going to be lots of money also. $90,000, and that's a big problem right now with a lot of these manufacturers. SUVs, big SUVs, third row SUVs. You have a big family. What are you doing? You're paying $89,000. Ford, you have the Expedition. Jeep, you have the Wagoneer. Here, you have these Tahoes, these Suburbans. These things, what, 4 or 5 years ago, they're $65,000. Now you're paying $90,000 for the same vehicle years later. And here is a Suburban. Check this out. This one is also a Premier, upper trim. And again, $89,000, $85,000 after you get done with your dock fees, after you get done with your nitrogen, after you get through with all your add-ons. Not saying that this dealership's going to charge them, but if you're looking across the market, a lot of dealerships are charging them. So if you're going to a dealership that is charging that, you're paying $90,000, $95,000, $100,000 for these things. So now, how does all of this get fixed? Well, really the consumer has to be the one to fix this, because once the consumer stops paying $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 for these trucks, then dealers get into a pinch, and then they either can't sell, so they have to lower the prices, or they start turning down allocations. Now, we're already seeing these dealers turn down allocations, and that's what's showing in the numbers for GM, Stellantis, Ford, that okay, sales are starting to weaken, and that's coming straight from their dealers. But once you have that kind of pinch, once you have the customer that says no and can't buy these things anymore, that's when prices can start lower. But what I've talked to, all these dealers that I've talked to, these franchise managers that I've talked to, they all say that it's on the manufacturer. So the dealers, they can only do so much. A lot of these franchises are actually, they're tied up by these manufacturers. A lot of manufacturers have rules saying that, okay, dealers, even if you want to sell your cars under invoice, if you want to get stuff off your floor plan, you can't advertise under invoice. So really, it's going to be down to the manufacturer to release some of these rules that they bind these franchise dealers to. And also the big fix is that MSRPs, they have to come down. And these franchise managers that I've talked to, that's what they say the problem is. Now, yes, these dealers, they have to stop charging these extra fees. They have to lower their prices too. But at the end of the day, really, you have all these dealers that are competing against each other. But GM's, for selling a GM truck, for selling a Chevy truck, they're not competing against anyone else. If somebody wants a Chevy truck, they're getting that customer, right? So GM, it's going to be on them to actually lower their MSRPs if you're going to start seeing a lot of these vehicles come down. And we're seeing that in China, there's a big race to the bottom. You're seeing BYD actually push prices down, and it's creating a big price war over there for vehicles. You're not seeing that over here. It's almost like manufacturers are working together right now to keep all their prices high. Because if one of them came in there, if GM came in and said, you know what, enough's enough, we need to actually sell some trucks, and these Silverados that we were selling for $60,000, let's cut them down to 40 grand. Then that's going to force all the other manufacturers to start doing that. But you know what? There's lots of money to be made. There's lots of margin to be made on these trucks. That's probably not happening anytime soon. So it's almost like the manufacturers are working together against the consumer to squeeze out every little penny that they can. And until MSRPs come down, you're not going to see a big change in the car market. Yeah, things are getting tougher. These manufacturers are getting weaker. These dealers are a lot weaker right now. And it's going to put some downward pressure on the market. We've already seen it. Like, right, prices have come down. Additional dealer markups have come off. You don't have to pay those anymore. And manufacturers are increasing incentive spend. So prices are coming down. It's just very slow. But it's really, at the end of the day, it's got to come down to the consumer. They have to stop buying. And then the manufacturers have to start lowering their MSRPs. And that's when transactions can start happening more. And that's when prices can really, really, really come down. But the manufacturers have to be willing to cut some margin and cut some prices.